Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. فضان المولانا وسيدنا إمام حسن المجتبى رسائل الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه ونعمائه، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وحبيبه حافظ سره ومبلغ رسالاته حبيب إلهنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا بالقاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين، سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. روحي وأرواحنا وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. Thank to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gave us the tawfiq in the holy month of Ramadan to celebrate the auspicious birth of one of the Master of the Youth of Paradise, the son of the Holy Prophet and the light of his eyes, Imam al-Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And in the month of Ramadan, the month of revelation of Quran, we also have the birth of one of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, who is truly the balance of Quran and Ahlul Bayt in the month of Ramadan. And remembering that personalities such as Imam al-Mujtaba are the reason that we are blessed to have the message of Quran the way it is today, and protected the message of Islam and the message of the Holy Prophet. May Allah give us the tawfiq to be worthy of His companionship in the Day of Judgment, and to follow His teachings and His method and His lifestyle in this dunya with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My speech inshallah will be very brief in two matters, and one is regarding his biography a bit. Alhamdulillah, most of you are pretty much familiar with with the life of Imam al-Hassan, but as a quick review. And then inshallah I finish with a practical 4-step plan to how to familiarize ourselves with the action plan of the life of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. So in the year 3rd after Hijrah, Imam al-Hassan was the first child who was born in the family of Imam Ali and Fatima Zahra salamullah alayhima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And he lived at the time of the Prophet when he was almost 7 and 8 years old when Rasulullah passed away. And almost a few months later, he lost his mother Fatima Zahra. And 30 years after that, he lost Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib at the age of around 37, 38. And years later, at the age of 47, almost 10 years later, 47 and 48, he was poisoned by his wife. So the lifespan of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam is around 47 years. And these fruitful 47 years, each section of his life could be a way of examining and learning lessons for ourselves. So specifically at the time of his birth, which is the birthday of the Imam in the 15th of the month of Ramadan, it's important to learn a message and a lesson from that time. And when it comes to his adulthood, inshallah, in the month of Safar, even later on, you can inshallah study and take a look at his life, that how he led the ummah the way he did and why he did, the method and the approach he had toward the guidance of the ummah. Unfortunately, when it comes to the name of the Imam Hassan alayhi salam, usually people ask this question, that why he signed a peace treaty with Muawiyah. And again, this is one of those topics that must be examined and must be answered. And inshallah, in the future, you can request one of the scholars who talk about this topic as well. But it's important to know that what kind of mentality is behind asking this question. There's a beautiful word by Imam Ali alayhi salam who asks us, when somebody asks the question, Imam asks him that it's important that why you ask a question. What's your attitude when you ask a question? Imam alayhi salam said, Sal tafaqquhan. Sal come from the su'al. Means if you're asking question, ask with the intention of tafaqquh, understanding, that you want to understand. Don't ask ta'annutan. Don't ask out of, God forbid, stubbornness, out of proving your point, out of just, saying, being the opposite side. So know the reason why you're asking the question. When it comes to the Imam alayhi salam, it's important to remember that the Imam, according to our belief, is infallible. So the course of action that any of the Ahlul Bayt took is based on free from any form of error and mistake. And they did what they have to do based on the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's responsibility of the Imam and the leader for the Ummah. So we cannot ask a question or, God forbid, say, okay, is that a mistake or not? Because in reality, when the Imam is ma'asum, you understand it was the right decision. But the question is, why that was the right decision? I try to understand the philosophy and the reason behind the decision that Imam alayhi salam made. But ultimately, the reason the religion of Islam and the school of Ahlul Bayt was protected was because of the decisions of all of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Starting from the Rasulullah, all the way to Imam al-Askari alayhi salam and the Imam of our time. If the religion is being preserved the way it's preserved, it is not without a lot of harms and damages that are being done to our faith, without exception, without any doubt. But if we have this message today, still somehow practice something that we can practice, we are in debt toward the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, especially Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. So if you ask the question, why Imam signed the peace treaty, remember the attitude is I try to understand the reason behind the movement. So sal inshaAllah tafaqquhan, to understand. But the childhood of the Imam alayhi salam are a great example that the love of Rasulullah and the love of Ahlul Bayt are crucial for protection of religion of Islam. In every salat, 10 times a day, we recite Surah Hamd. And in one of the ayah, which is the last ayah of Surah Hamd, verse number 7, which, by the way, we have Surah Hamd according to Quran is equivalent of the entire Quran. It says, Sab'un min al-mathani wal-Quran al-azim. Allah said the 7 great verses of Surah Al-Hamd, one side, and the great Quran in another side. This is the importance of Surah Al-Hamd. And we have, by the way, as mustahab, after you're done with your daily prayers, to recite Surah Hamd. There's a very simple list. Allama Sayyid ibn Tawus, the one that we have the maqtal of Imam Hussein from him as well. He said, after you're done with your prayers, we have in tradition that definitely don't quit these actions. One of them is recite Surah Hamd. One of them is to recite Ayatul Kursi. One of them is to recite Surah Mulk in Surah Al-Imran. قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. So in the Surah Hamd, which is a very great surah, is one of the, we call Ummul Kitab, the mother of the book, which means all the message of Quran is contained within this chapter. Allah said, He taught us, by the way, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, to say to Allah, guide us toward the straight path, right? And then after that we say, sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim, the path of those that you bestowed your favors upon them, you give your ni'mah to them. So who are these? It is about people, by the way. Al-ladhina refers to personalities, individuals that Allah bestowed His favors upon them. Who are they? Quran elaborate on that in another chapter. So do you know who are An'am Allah? Who are the people that Allah bestowed His favors upon them? An-Nabiyyin. The first are the prophets of God. Number 2 was Siddiqeen, the truthful. And who is the Siddiq al-Akbar, the greatest of the truthful? Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Number 3 was Shuhada. So An'amta alayhim is the Nabiyyin, the prophets, or Siddiqeen, the truthful. Was Shuhada, the martyrs. And number 4 was Salihin, the reformers. And when you look at these categories, beside the Nabiyyin, which are the only belong to the prophets of God, which was sealed with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see that the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are qualified for all the other 3 categories. For example, when we talk Imam al-Hasan, he is qualified to be the truthful, and he is one of the shuhada, and he is definitely one of the salihin. So when we say an'amta alayhim, we are remembering the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in our prayers, and Allah wants us to remember. And the love of them are a requirement of the faith according to Surah Al-Hamd. So the love of Imam al-Hasan specifically is accepted common belief of all Muslims. When you look at Sahih al-Muslim, when you look at Sahih Tirmidhi, Jami' Tirmidhi, Sunan Ibn Majah, there are numerous traditions about Fada'il al-Hasan wal-Husayn. They say radiyallahu anhuma, of course we say alayhim as-salam. That they have a list of qualities and a list of admiration and the honor and the love of the Prophet toward them. So I don't have time to go over all that. It's a part of from the biography part of the discussion. If you want to give example of the greatness of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, which is accepted by all Muslims, regardless of this sect. One is Hadith al-Kisa. Alhamdulillah, it is very common to be recited. When the Rasulullah brought the Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein, Fatima al-Zahra and Ali ibn Abi Talib under the cloak, and he said, Allahumma inna ha'ula'i ahlu bayti. And then the verse was revealed, the ayat al-Tathir was revealed. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. Recite the salawat. So in ayat al-Tathir was revealed about Ahlul Bayt, specifically the five. Khamis ala Abba, they are the people who are worthy of ayat al-Tathir. And when you look at Sahih al-Muslim, from the wife of the Prophet Aisha is being narrated that Rasulullah had Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein and Fatima al-Zahra and Ali ibn Abi Talib under his abba and cloak, and he recited إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ. And that source, as I say, is Sahih al-Muslim regarding the ayat al-Tathir is about specifically these people. That the narrator of the hadith is the wife of the Prophet, but she mentioned herself that the Ahlul Bayt, according to the word of the Prophet, are the people under his abba and the cloak at the time. So that's one. The second is Mubahila in Surah Al-Imran verse 61. Alhamdulillah, you heard the ayah so many times. I just want to list it and pass on, and inshallah the details based on the previous lectures. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ تَعَالَوْا نَدْعُ أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَنِسَاءَنَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ ثُمَّ نَبْتَهِلْ. So when the debate with the Christians of Najran happened, Rasulullah brought Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein as his children. And this obvious, unfortunate question that people ask sometimes is by deliberate reason to undermine the greatness and the value of the character of the Ahlul Bayt, is that they say, why you call Ahlul Bayt Ibn Rasulullah, the son of the Prophet? And they're not the son of the Prophet, they're grandchildren of the Prophet. And the answer to that is Quran. When you recite Surah Al-Imran, Allah said, Abna'ana, our sons. Rasulullah brought Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam. So according to Quran, Ahlul Bayt, specifically starting with Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein, are the son of the Prophet according to Quran and so many traditions. And one more example of the greatness of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So we have the Mubahila, we have Hadith al-Kisa, and we have this tradition by the Prophet that we have that one of the companions narrates that he came to see the Rasulullah, and he said that Rasulullah, that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhi salam were attached to him. And again, the source of this is being narrated in so many Ahlul Sunnah tradition as well as Shia, that one of them is the Jami' Tirmidhi, that Rasulullah said, Allahumma, this is a dua of the Prophet, that Ya Rasulullah, I love these two, uhibbahuma, I love these two, Hassan and Hussein. Ya Allah, love those who love these two. So Rasulullah is making a dua, and as we know, the dua of the Prophet is mustajab, is guaranteed to be delivered and will be granted. So Rasulullah is making a dua, Ya Allah, I love Hassan and Hussein. Ya Allah, love those who love Hassan and Hussein. And inshallah, by the dua of the Prophet, we will be one of those who are being loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala due to our love to Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, inshallah. Recite the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So these are so many traditions similar to this about the character and the love of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. So the biography of Imam Hassan is all full of these examples. One more is the story that Rasulullah was carrying Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein on his shoulders. And somebody, one of the companions was passing by and he said, "What a great ride you have." Referring to Imam al-Hassan and Imam Hussein, that you are riding Rasulullah, what a great ride you have. And Rasulullah responded, what great riders I have, to refer to them, which are Hassan and Hussein alayhim as-salam. So all this is for what reason? Because unfortunately, when we undermine the character of the Ahlul Bayt, we undermine following them in practice. There was a time that unfortunately, maybe in the old time, the dictators used to assassinate people physically. All they have to do is to just send a killer, poison them, kill them and destroy them. That was one method. Another method, which was practiced by Muawiyah as well, was the method of assassinating the character. That maybe physically we don't eliminate them, let them live, but let, God forbid, undermine, take the respect and honor away from them. As we can see today, there are people who could be hard workers, sincere devotees of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There could be gossips. There could be some truth to it. Sometimes there's no truth. It's all lies that there are being propagandas against them. And all you have to do is just watch them, how unfortunately all the honor and respect that they have among the people easily collapse. There are people unfortunately who do it themselves and they have to be held accountable. We cannot undermine the mistakes being made by some individual. But there are cases that has nothing to do with their action. All it is that this person is influential. This person could be very helpful to guide people toward the agenda, toward the direction that is against the interests of some others, of some other parties. So what do you have to do? Let's just remove this person. How to do it? Let's start a gossip about them. Let's label them with a name. Let's undermine their credibility. And that happened in the time of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And it is a danger of our time as well. And we have to be aware of that. So the character of Imam Hassan, unfortunately, sometimes being under attack. So when that character is under attack, people take the leadership in their own hand. If we don't know the importance of Ahlul Bayt, some may say, what's the importance of believing of the love and the importance of a man who lived 1400 years ago? And I tell you the importance. Because if personalities such as them are not being used as a blueprint, as an example, there are people who can hijack the position of leadership and they can do whatever they want. Because you don't have something to look up to. And anyone who tried to put themselves before the Ahlul Bayt understand that they are going in the wrong direction. When we make someone's name bolder than the name of the Ahlul Bayt, that's a problematic practice. Because they are the ma'asum. Anyone else is not ma'asum. The hierarchy has to be maintained. Number one is Allah. Nothing in the universe has to be considered equal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the top of the hierarchy. Anyone who tried to, God forbid, bring a challenge, a partner, they are deviating. They are definitely promoting a path of deviance. After that is Rasulullah, the best of creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the hierarchy. After that are Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. After that are the servants of the Ahlul Bayt, the companions, the awliya Allah, the scholars who are sincerely working, the shuhada. That's the hierarchy that has to be maintained. And not because I say so, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فاسألوا أهل الذكر, in another ayah. Go with Allah, obedience of Allah, obedience of the Prophet, obedience of those who have authority from Allah. And then when you have issues, go ask the people who are experts, the dhikr, ahl al-dhikr. So that's a required introduction for the life of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, to know who Imam al-Hassan is and why we have to hold him at that high status. That anything he said now, I have to take it on my eyes and I have to practice. Because Rasulullah said, if you love him, Allah will love you. And Rasulullah said, this is my family. This is the one that Allah purifies them. A thorough purification. So now that we know such a personality has to be held as a higher status as an example, how we should do it. Because that's the first question comes to mind. I want to follow Imam Hassan alayhi salam. How to do it? I say look at the Quran, and Quran tells us. Quran in Surah Al-Isra said, يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِ. And the day of judgment, all people will be called with their imam, with their leaders, with the one that they followed. And this imam, it doesn't refer to the Ahlul Bayt. It refers to any form of imam. You have in tradition, there is imam yad'u ila al-khair wa imam yad'u ila al-shar. We have some imams, some leaders invite and encourage people toward righteousness and good. And we have leaders who encourage people toward evil and wrong. We have both type of imam. As you can see, the name imam is being used all around for many people, many individuals. Which the word imam is a neutral word. But what they're inviting you toward, what they are leading you to, that makes a big difference. And Allah said we have to make sure in the day of judgment we cannot just say what we want. الْيَوْمْ نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. When the day of judgment happens, our mouth will be sealed. So the question is, if our mouth is sealed, we cannot speak up. How we will be answering the question of the nakir, munkar, all the questioning that will happen? The answer is that our answers is the way we lived. You heard this famous quote that actions are louder than words. That's what the day of judgment is about. Our actions in dunya are the loudest answer we can have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah said, who is your imam? Who I looked up in this dunya will be my imam. I don't want to, go and start name athletes and celebrities, but as a joke, because right now is basketballs and a lot of our youth are following. So if your imam is LeBron James, right? If LeBron James is the one that all I care about, which not many people do, by the way, but there are individuals that people literally look up to everything. If this celebrity wears a certain brand, you see a lot of youth that start wearing the same brand. That's the imam, by the way, in that specific aspect. So in dunya, when you say that person is my imam, that okay, is my business, the way I do business, who I look up to? Is it a Steve Jobs? Is it Bill Gates? Is it Warren Buffett? Who is I look up in the way of doing business? Because if you look at the Ahlul Bayt tell you cannot deceive people. You cannot bribe your way up to get, climb the ladder of success. You have to go through a very, very straightforward, transparent way of business. But in corporations, there are going to be a lot of different ways of doing it. Who is my imam in business? In marriage, who's my imam? How I interact with people, how I interact with my companions, my friends, my neighbors. Who is my imam? My actions will say it. يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِ. So the more familiar, the more similar we are with someone, that person is our imam. As we have the tradition said, تَخَلَّقُوا بِأَخْلَاقِ اللَّهِ. Adorn yourself, your akhlaq, your ethic to the akhlaq of God. Adorn yourself with the ethic and morals of God. And Allah loves that. That when somebody in the character, they're similar with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, said when it comes to, as Quran said, when it comes to mercy, Allah said, if you want Allah to be merciful with you, be merciful with other people. I look at your character. If you're a merciful person, I will be much more merciful to you. I'm the creator. As a creation, Allah said, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. I blew in the man's body from my existence, from my soul. Means we are part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like it or not. So the more we are close in the direction, the attributes of God, the closer we will be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, sometimes we see some children who said, oh, when I look at you, not only physically, but the way you talk, the way you smile, your body language, it reminds me of your dad. And some people said, they're totally different. They said the apple doesn't fall far away from the tree, right? We are the apples of God. That we have to be very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to forgiveness, when it comes to even concealing people's flaws and shortcomings. Sattarul uyub. Allah loves those who do sattarul uyub. Conceal other people's shortcomings. We have a tradition, Jibreel said to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, if angels were able to transform to a form of man and come and live on earth, they would love to do certain actions. One of those actions was to conceal the sins of others. To be a sattarul uyub. Is one of the wishes of angels. If they were human and were able to live, aside from all the other goods that they can do, one of them, the top of the list, was to be sattarul uyub. To cover the shortcoming of people, to don't expose people. Give them a chance. Because sometimes when people are exposed, they consider that it's too late for them to come back. Especially when it's personal, when it's between them and God. Sometimes it's a social issue. Somebody's damaging Shaikh Moderras' car out there and you want to conceal their sin. No, please, let us know that we stop them. It's a social damage. It's not a personal issue. But something that's personal is they're damaging themselves. And instead of just doing ghibah, exposing them, we can go privately and try to help them. So when it comes to the Ahlul Bayt and Imam al-Hasan is the same concept. We have to look at the akhlaq and the character of the Imam and look up and try to be like him. The more we look like Hassan alayhi salam, we call ourselves Shia of Hassan. But there's so many that they live in the time of Imam Hassan who said, Ya Hassan, we give allegiance, bay'ah to you, which they did. After Shahada of Imam Ali, Imam Hassan was chosen not only as the Imam, he was the Imam, nobody chose him, God chose him as the Imam. But as a Khalifa, he was elected after the Shahada of Imam Ali. But later on, Muawiyah, with his plot, made people who at the beginning gave allegiance to Imam Hassan to leave him, including some of his high-rank officers in the army. Because of the money, because of whatever was the way of bribery of Muawiyah, they gave up. So they said, Ya Hassan, we're your Shia. We're your soldiers. But in the time of test, they were Shia of Muawiyah. And in this dunya is the same story, my dear brothers and sisters. It's the same idea. Inshallah, none of us are one of those who say we are the Shia of the Imam of our time. And later on, God forbid, we are the Shia of the opponent of the Imam. But it could happen. Because ultimately the action is the criteria that makes a difference. Action, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. The amal and the action is the greatest factor we can find. So how to become similar to the Imam Hassan? That's the question. What is let's call it the action plan that in practice become like Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam? According to his own words, by the way. So we learn about biography, we learn about his status, and now we go to the part how we become like Imam al-Hasan. A Shia of Hassan is the one who look like him. When Imam Ali in Nahjul Balagha, he has Khutbay Muttaqeen, the servant of the pious, he gave us a list. Said, if you want to become a pious person, a God-conscious human being, this is the criteria. This is the action plan. If you want the detailed one, read it. In the month of Ramadan, right now we're approaching the nights of the Shahada of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salam. Read it. Khutbay Muttaqeen, sermon of the pious. It's action plan. It's detailed, by the way. It talks about the detail from the intention all the way to what we say. To the way we smile, the way we cry. There's detail how to be a pious in that level. But in a more general way, how to be a Hassani person. How to become Hassani. Imam Hassan alayhi salam said, number one, if you want to become Hassani, is to work on your akhlaq as a husnul khulq. Inna ahsan al-hasan al-khulq al-hasan. Imam Hassan said, the best of the the good that you can find, the best of the good in the world. Ahsanul Hasan is what? Al-Khulqul Hasan, well manners. Your attitude, your behavior, your words, that's at the top of the list. Husnul Khulq. So if you want to become a Hasani person, we have to work on the akhlaq. Some mu'minin, especially in the Ramadan, when it comes toward the end of the day, the blood sugar start to fall. Especially if you didn't have the suhoor, the pressure start to increase. You see some people, they start becoming, having short temper. They're not able to communicate properly. And especially when you're hungry, that's more difficult. Remember this hadith of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, that the test of a man, of a mu'min, is akhlaq. Rasulullah has a beautiful description regarding akhlaq, husnul khulq, well manners, good manners. Imam alayhi salam, Rasulullah said, al-khulq or husnul khulq, wi'a'ud-din. Wi'a in Arabic means dharf. Imagine if there is a plate, if there is a space for the religion. The space, the plate, that dharf of religion is akhlaq. Is that husnul khulq, well manners. Means, for example, if you have milk, honey, anything, is the best, the most expensive form of honey, right? The highest quality. But if you don't have a good, pot, what will happen when you try to put it, if it's broken? What's going to happen? If it's a broken pot and you put honey in it, start to leak. It will not be able to hold it. And Rasulullah gave a very beautiful description. Said, religion needs a space, need a body. And that body of religion and faith and deen is akhlaq. And we have, unfortunately, a lot of broken pots, a lot of broken bodies. That the deen have no issue, but the way it's being projected, unfortunately, is not healthy, with the bad akhlaq, with the bad manners. So one of my worst story that I remember was when a brother told me he's working as a radiologist in a hospital. He said, one of the nurses came to me and said, "Oh, I think today is the first day of Ramadan for you guys." I said, "Yes, I know. Yes, today is the first day of Ramadan." "How do you know?" So there's another Muslim who's working that part. Today I wasn't able to talk to her anymore. She was very upset and she had short temper. And I remember last year in Ramadan, she was the same way. That's the worst sign for somebody to distinguish somebody's fasting from non-fasting. She's practicing religion. She's fasting. She tried to attain taqwa and piety as Quran commanded. But unfortunately, the pot is broken. The body is broken. It's not going to hold it properly. So if we want to become Hasani, we have to work on the akhlaq, number one. The akhlaq of Imam Hassan is an example. We have a person from Sham came to Imam Hassan and started cursing him in Medina. He came from Sham, so he's a traveler. In his town now he's cursing Imam. Not only the Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam Ali alayhi salam, everybody in the family. So the companion tried to teach him a lesson and Imam held him back. He said, "He's talking to me, let me answer him." After he expressed all his anger, all his emotion, he finished. Imam didn't interrupt him, let him finish. Even in anger. Imam alayhi salam kindly told him that, I don't recognize you. Probably you're a traveler. I think you're a traveler. If you don't have a place to stay, maybe you're frustrated because of that. We can provide you a shelter. If you didn't eat today, we can provide you food. Become our guest today. You're so angry. Why is that? Did somebody oppress you in this town? Did somebody hurt you in this town? That we can take your right back. And then he, in return, he's in a moment of awe and shock that I'm cursing this man and he's offering help. That he started crying. He said, what I said was wrong. I heard a lot of negative thing about you and your father. Before coming to this town, The most hated person in my mind was you and your dad, Ali ibn Abi Talib. But with the way you treated me, there is no one in this universe more loved to me than you and your father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Akhlaq can transform an enemy to a friend. Not all the time, but most of the time. The key to the Rasulullah's success is akhlaq. And Rasulullah, Allah said, لو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. Ya Rasulullah, if you were harsh, if you were cold-hearted, people would have run away from you, scattered. They wouldn't come to you. It was your kindness, Ra'ufur Rahim, that Ra'uf, quality, kindness and compassion brought people to you. That's number one. Husnul khulq. Number two is the generosity and the kirama of Imam al-Hassan. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي. Allah honored us, right? This honor that Allah gave us, how we can attain honor, karam. Answer. Let's, inshallah, I know it's the end of the day of Ramadan, but let's try. How you attain karam? Kirama. How? Sharing your wealth, so charity. What else? Anyone else? No? Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. What you said was one of the example of taqwa. But the umbrella that covers all of them is that indeed the most honored of you, the one with the most amount of karama, is the one who has the most amount of taqwa, the most amount of piety. Simple. The karama is to be Abdullah. That's what karama is about. Or we can define it. Karama is to be Abdullah. Listen to what Allah said. Because that's what for our good. If we believe in God, we know that God only wants khair for people, for His creation. And that's the way to do it. If we want to be Hassani, we have to have karama. We have to have taqwa. If somebody doesn't have taqwa, we can't say on the tongue, I love Hassan, I love Hussein, I love Rasulullah. But the taqwa, the piety shows it. The piety shows it. Yes, one form of karama is generosity, to give. That's one way of it. And even in generosity, make sure, in generosity, do the way of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. That if somebody come to Imam alayhi salam, Imam didn't say, okay, this is the last time I help you. Don't come to me again. Somebody came and poor and said, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I'm suffering from a disease that it afflicted me and my family. I said, what is that? I said, faqr, poverty. And Imam asked him, bring him. I said, if you need more help, come back. The door is open. The door is open. I learned a story from one of the ulama. He said he learned it from a young man. Some of our youth, alhamdulillah, they could be a great example for all of us, for scholars, for elders. So we have in Imam Rida alayhi salam shrine this happened. In Imam Rida alayhi salam shrine, a man approached a young man, not a scholar, a normal, average young man. And this man said, oh, I'm poor. Help me. In the shrine, in the haram. And his friend was sitting with him. So his friend told this young man, don't help him, he's lying. He's lying. And he ignored his friend and helped anyway. When the man who was claiming he was poor, he left with the help, his friend said, I told you, how do you know if he's saying the truth? And he said, I don't know, but how many times me and you, we lied to Imam Rida alayhi salam? And how many times he exposed me and you? How many times we lied to God? That God, I will be better, and next time we broke it. How many times he exposed us? And it wasn't a big help anyway. So if Allah protected me, didn't expose me many times that I broke my promises and I didn't say the truth, it's okay for me to do one time for another creation of God. That's what karama is about. To be generous, and sometimes don't let excuses stop us from generosity. Because sometimes what happens is sometimes people are overwhelmed when and where we should help. Should I give it to masjid? Should I give it to the hospital? Should I build a school with it? They overwhelmed with so many things. And when somebody actually they do help. So, oh, you should have helped that place. You shouldn't help here. You should have helped that place. And this is not the way of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. That the spirit of a mu'min is to be generous multiple times, not only one time that you have to choose. If you can't do more. And last, and I finish with this, if you want to be Hassani, if you want to be similar to Imam Hassan alayhi salam's message and lifestyle, remember death. Dhikrul maut. We have ibadah. If you want to an act of worship, remember death. Because as a human being, we become arrogant, prideful. We think that death is far away from reaching us. And remembering death makes that different. Somebody came to Imam Hassan alayhi salam and said, Yabna Rasulullah, why people are afraid of death? Why they're so scared? And Imam said, if I tell you that they're going to take you from a beautiful garden to a desert, which is no water, is very hot, you'll be happy, you'll be concerned. So, of course I will be concerned, I will be upset. So those who are afraid and scared of death, because they made this dunya a heaven for themselves. They did everything they did for this. They built beautiful mansions for themselves with any cost. And in the other side, they know there's nothing there. They have no plan, no 401k, no investment plan for the other side. That's the reason they're scared. But for a mu'min who built this dunya not on the ruins of akhirah, they built this dunya as long as it was, not ruining the akhirah, building akhirah and dunya. Rabbana atina fi dunya hasana wa fil akhirah. They built both as much as they can. They didn't sacrifice one for another. There are the people that they're not scared of death. They're ready for it. And followers of Hassan are ready for death. And I finish with this hadith, and inshallah will be enough for today. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, in dunya, in your life, forget to and remember to. Always. What a great word of wisdom to keep in mind. So inshallah, hopefully you remember what I said from the beginning, but because of fasting, it's very hard to recall everything. Remember this one. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, remember to and forget to in your lifetime. Number one, when you want to remember, one of them, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, remember death. Death. These two are the key. If you remember Allah but you don't remember death, you start deceiving yourself that God is merciful. There's still chance. Maybe tomorrow, next Ramadan. From next year, after I'm done with my degree, I will be a good mu'min. Next Ramadan, I start being more devoted because I have issues right now. That next comes, you believe in Allah. That's the reason you want to do it. But because of death is not in mind, people procrastinate when it comes to the essential matters. So remember Allah and remember death. And the two to forget. Imam alayhi salam said, forget the people's ill work and ill actions toward you. If people wronged you, forget that. Don't hold grudges. Don't be stuck in that, oh, somebody 20 years ago did this to me, 10 years ago. Forget. And number two, the goods that you did for others, the favors you did for others. Forget that too as well. Don't keep a track and record of the good things you did. Oh, I recited Quran before. I give money before. Forget that as well. Both are important. When you remember the people's ill work and sometimes, God forbid, they harmed you, they damaged you, financially, maybe spiritually, in any way, that makes you stay in a state of hatred, doesn't let you grow. You're stuck there. You're harming yourself. Is your right if somebody wronged you to stop interacting with them? That's fine. If somebody deceived you, you don't want to continue interaction with them, that's fine. But don't be hung up on them. And when you do good, forget it as well. Don't keep a record of the good deeds to have motivation to do more. This is a way of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. In action. Can somebody tell me? I give you 3 points. If you want to become Hassani, what to do? Remember? Alhamdulillah. I'm pretty sure you do. Help me. What was it? Let's go from the number 3. Number 3 was, remember death. That's the way of Imam Hassan. The follower of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, remember death. The death is part of this life. Not to be depressed about it, to be ready for it. What is number 2? Kirama. Right? To have honor. The honor that is taqwa. Right? Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. That's the way to do it. Imam Hassan's way is taqwa's way. They're not two different paths. They're along each other. They're compatible with one another. So that's kirama. To have kirama in dunya. The best kirama, if you want to make ourselves dhalil, commit sin. Any sin we commit, Quran said that's dhulm. That's oppression of self. And the number 1, husnul khulq. Well manners, good manners. And remember the Rasulullah's hadith, that akhlaq and the well manners, the way that we interact with people, that's the body of the religion. That's the dharf of the religion. May Allah inshallah give us the tawfiq to love Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, to follow him, to be his true follower and Shia in action, and to inshallah have akhlaq and manners that they can look at us and say, Hada Shi'atu Hassan. Look at his akhlaq. He is the Shia of Hassan ibn Ali alayhi salam. And give us a tawfiq when the time of the departure of this dunya comes, we have no regret. As Allah said, Alla inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma adkhil ala ahli al-qubur as-surur. Allahumma aghni kulla faqir. Allahumma ashbi' kulla ja'i'. Allahumma aksu kulla uryan. Allahumma aghdi dayna kulla madin. Allahumma faraj an kulla makrub. Allahumma rudda kulla gharib. اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. May Allah give us the tawfiq to be able to find awakening in the night of Qadr, inshallah, to honor the Shahada Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib in the month of Ramadan, and to finish the Ramadan with earning his forgiveness and mercy, and to inshallah celebrate the day of Eid al-Fitr based on his blessing and mercy, inshallah. For the honor of the Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, recite the salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
أفضل الصلاة محمد وآل محمد. आज दोनों जहां में है शोर मचा, आज दोनों जहां में है शोर मचा, या इमाम हसन या इमाम हसन, घर में ज़हरा के खालिक ने बेटा दिया, घर में ज़हरा के खालिक ने बेटा दिया, या इमाम हसन या इमाम हसन। आज दोनों जहां में है शोर मचा, या इमाम हसन या इमाम हसन। आज ज़हरा को ये मर्तबा है मिला, माँ का रुतबा मिला, फूल कैसा